All right, so we already did a check-in to make sure that the support under the ankles is in a good position. The face cradle is in a good position. I always ask, I give them suggestions, like, would you like it wider, narrower, up, down, to give them a sense of the possibilities. We got a product preference, check in about anything I need to know about the legs, any injuries or anything like that. And table temperature, and we're good to go. So, yes.
I was gonna say, I noticed all the films, the videos, that there was no ankle support. So I guess either way is fine.
It's always good to ask the person, and not everybody wants it. Yeah, and some massage therapists will ask the client after they're on the table, so that the client doesn't have to navigate getting over it. That's particularly good if you have clients who are elderly or can't have injuries, they can't navigate over it as well. But for a lot of people, you can just have it on the table first and then just adjust it. But just always ask, not everybody always wants it. So just like any other Swedish massage, folks often start with some compression. It's a nice warm up and assessment. So you guys already know a lot of leg compression. So I'm not going to walk you through all of it. I'm just kind of, warming up the tissue and assessing as I go. Today would be a great day for contacts because the mask is really steaming up my glasses. I don't think so. If someone wants to lock it, the keys are on the front desk, or we can just keep an ear on it. So I often don't look at what I'm doing because I can feel better than I can see, but I will sometimes glance to see like how movement is translating up the body. And also if I'm ever touching near more potentially vulnerable areas, I also will look to make sure that my hands don't land anywhere they shouldn't. So of course in the legs, that would be on the inside of the thighs. And then around the glutes. So, I'm getting all the way up to the iliac crest, all the way around the greater trochanter, the legs. We really want to integrate that with the hip work. And today we're going to use a conservative drape where we're not really going to get all the way. We're not doing the glutes today. So it's nice to make sure that in your compression, you're really integrating all the way up through the glutes, hips, iliac crest, all that good stuff. All right, so this is going to be our first time undraping the legs. So we took a look at it in our draping day. So we're going to do the method where the drape or the sheet is going to go all the way around the leg, and it's called a range of motion drape. And it's a nice secure drape. So the first thing is that when we move the sheet up, we're going to keep it close to the table and no flippy drafts of air. The first step, we're only going to go to about the knee. And then the next step is when we come. You want to make sure that you have enough sheet kind of from the end so that you have enough sheet to work with. And for some people, if they have low back issues, it can be difficult for them if you lift up high. So we're going to lift up their knee just enough to get that sheet underneath. So whenever you lift a client's limb, any part of them, you want to make sure they're really supported in a way where they don't feel like they have to help. So I'm going to get underneath the leg, and then I'm going to lift up under the knee just a little bit. And I find that my, if I'm facing the table a little bit, my outside hand is going to be good for under the knee. And then my inside hand is going to pull the sheet. So I support, I lift a little, and he's helping, and a lot of people do that. That's all right. I just, let the knee go and he let go. So I'm going to lift up a little bit. I'm going to pull this sheet on an angle as high up as possible, and that step is critical. So I'm going to pull up like so. And if you don't pull this underneath sheet up on a higher angle, the next step, you're not going to be able to undrape very far. It takes some practice, and it's better to err on the side of caution. Over time, you'll get faster, smoother, higher. This next step, you can either pull straight up or you can roll up, and then we're going to tuck underneath the hip. So we're going to pull up, and there's some kind of underpants or pants or whatever. So that's going to be our line, right? We don't want to get folks' clothes oily. So may I tuck under your hip? Yep. You lift, go ahead and relax and tuck. And so you could see that, this is secure and all the way around, and we've got that tucked in well. Questions?
You moved the hip with your elbow.
Yeah. So I find that if I'm standing on this side of the table, that I kind of lift the client better like this. Sometimes I'll walk around the table just like we did for the back and then pull and tuck. Yeah. So the exact which hand you use and exactly how you do it is kind of, up to you. But the principles stay the same. Other questions? Since we're relatively new to Swedish massage, I'll point out some basic things as we go as well. Like this client has relatively more hair, and when clients have more hair, you want to be careful to use more lotion or oil and not do a lot of circular motions that can kind of tangle and tug and rip at the hair. So we might need to apply more lotion or oil as we go.
With hair, is oil or lotion?
That's a great question. I could go either way. It's kind of just using enough of it. Once the lotion sinks in, you might have to reapply more. Yeah. What do you think, Lucy?
When I have my clients, when they have a lot of hair on the back, I always use like massage creams instead of the oils, because the massage cream is moisture. It have the skin getting like soft faster than the oil. And for the oil, I need to apply a lot. It's almost like half of my bottle of the oil like that, for just on the back. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Could somebody read the first step, please?
Opening, effleurage, circulation, stroke. Stand in a lunge position at the inferior end of the table facing client's head. Outside hand is placed on distal lower leg with fingers pointed towards center of body. Inside hand is B-U-T-T-E-A. I don't know. It's a B word. Behind.
Buffer? Buffer?
Is that?
Butt it up. Yeah, butt it up.
Okay, butted up behind outside hand with fingers toward outside of body. With hands in this position, flow up the leg, slide proximal to the back of the knee, lighten up over the popliteal fossa, and take a step up if you need to maintain good body mechanics. Slide up the thigh prior to reaching the drape. Hand fan up, fingers facing superiorly. With fingers facing superiorly, glide to the feet on the lateral and medial aspect of the thigh and leg. Repeat 1 to 3 times.
Thank you. So, like all of our first effleurage strokes, we start off lighter to both distribute the lotion, oil, or cream, and also to start warming up the tissues. We start distally and we're going proximally. Our circulatory strokes, we want to go more towards the heart. So when we go towards the heart, we're pressing with more pressure than when we come back. At the top of the stroke, you want to fan your hands out, and you want to make sure that we're not crossing the drape, and you want to be nice and heavy-handed, especially as you fan out on the medial side so it doesn't feel vulnerable. Now, the directions say, that you can start down here, but I'm pretty short and the client's legs are way up here. So this is way too much of a reach for me. If the client's legs were like way down here and I was taller, I could stand down here, right? But you just want to stand far enough up that when you do a lunge stroke, you can reach the work. As you repeat this stroke, you can get deeper and deeper, but you're not going to get very deep on the popliteal fossa. And as you fan out, you can take this stroke so that it goes all the way around the leg. So my hand is literally on the front side of Taylor's leg. So wrapped all the way around. And then some of them you can take all the way through the ankles, up and over the foot. Questions so far? As you repeat it, really sink into the tissue. And, sometimes I'll let my forearm and really get on the body as well. So like my whole forearm right now is on the leg, and that can feel good to kind of make your hand feel bigger. All right, the next stroke is very similar. It's so similar that I will just describe the difference rather than reading it out loud. Basically, you're doing the same stroke, but one hand is on the distal side while one hand is on the proximal side, and then you switch. So it's probably going to come to you just sort of intuitively or naturally, but your inside hand is going to work better on the inside of the leg. And so of course, when you're on the right side and left side of the body, that'll switch. So there's no like one exact way about when your hands cross, but they're just sort of switching directions. And it's very similar to the previous stroke, but just these little differences can be a nice way to kind of see when my hands cross, how they can sort of lift that muscle tissue. And you kind of just get into the stroke a little bit differently than with the previous one. Questions?
As you're going across, are you stretching the muscle or just the leg in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can definitely be stretching, and you can also, when the hands cross, really push the hands together to lift and start lifting and getting into that tissue. Yeah. Any other questions? What's next? Could someone read the next one, please?
Each stroke on the thigh.
Thank you.
Place outside hand on lateral aspect of distal thigh with hands forming a V shape. Spread thumb and fingers to form a V opening. With inside hand, form a V opening and butt it up behind the outside hand. Hands move up and down the body as a unit, molding and shaping the contours. Perform as a build-up stroke using several small movements instead of one long one. In each small stroke slightly higher up on the body part. Pressure is equal in both hands, but is deeper when pressing in the proximal direction. As you repeat this stroke, deepen your pressure by sinking in with your index fingers.
Thanks for reading that, Erica. So the exact shape of your hands can vary depending on how big or small your hands are compared to the client's. It's more about starting to really get up and into those tissues. And so, for example, I can already feel, where there's tension on this lateral side. And so I can start to really sink into that. And if it's better for your hands, you can even depart from a V on a V and even use a soft fist, right, to get in there. It's more about we want to start lifting into that tissue.
This is petrifying.
That's a great question. You could actually perform this stroke as effleurage or petrissage. You know, it kind of starts off effleurage, but then as we start to sink and lift, it's more petrissage. And I can feel there's quite a bit of tension here. So as I get deeper, I want to check in. So on a 1 to 10 scale, if 7's perfect, 10's too deep, 1's too light, where are we at? That's it. Thank you. And how about now? Okay. Can you let me know if it's ever too much, too little? Thank you. So you're probably all wondering, what about the iliotibial band? So the part of the iliotibial band that tends to be particularly thick and sensitive is about 3, 4, 5 inches just proximal from the knee. So here's the part of the band where you don't want to like dive right into the band, but the band widens up here and you can work with that tissue. Just if you feel big resistance, you're, you know, slowing down and checking in on pressure. Questions?
So we can go deeper.
Feel free if you can reach to get an angle where you can see that. You can be behind me if you can reach. Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
So we can go deeper, more proximal that we are. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, to just not be right on the thick part of the IT band. Yeah,
It's also the vastus lateralis.
exactly. We are 100% on the vastus lateralis here. Yep. So the vastus lateralis goes all the way in front and behind the IT band and deep to it. So, you know, it goes all the way from here to here. So, yep, we're on it. Thanks, Lucy.
Yeah.
And this still feels intense, so I'm gonna check in again. Where's the pressure at? Okay, cool. And we'll just get into that muscle a little bit. Awesome. What's next?
Petrifying thigh, pulling, aka broadening. Pivot to straddle position facing thigh. Petrifying thigh, paying attention to the distal hamstring attachment, top and lateral thigh, and the adductors on the medial thigh. Grasp the tissue with both hands, lift it up and away from the bone while spreading it out laterally. Repeat the movement until the tissues feel warm and elastic. With the heels of the hands facing each other, grasp the tissue between fingers and palm and slowly squeeze muscle out of the hand by moving the heels of the hands slowly toward the fingers. Avoid itching.
Thank you. I like that dramatic pause at the end.
It's not language arts teacher back in the day.
So the part, like, again, you can change the exact shape of your hands to sort of match the size of the client's thighs with your hands. This is the part of the popliteal right where the crease is that we're not going to go really deep, but the hamstring muscles cross with the gastroc muscles like a barrel of monkeys on the outside. And we do want to get all the way to there. The part of the stroke where your fingers are in the front and you're pushing that tissue down into it is called foaling. And that's a technical word for a type of petrissage that you would see on the licensing exam. I just want to emphasize that because some of these words are kind of more made up and other ones you will see on your exam, and foaling is a type of petrissage you will see. So this takes practice, like Lucy and Elizabeth were showing you last Monday, that it takes practice to really keep sinking through the layers with Swedish. And so I'm really feeling with the heel of my hand and getting into those muscles deeper and deeper as I go. And those of you who renew your CPR regularly, this might remind you of, you know, getting your weight right. There you go. assume the position, right? So you're really getting your strength behind it. And I mean, I can feel a wall of muscle that I really want to engage. I can push it into the bone. I can lift it off of the bone and really work through the layers.
We have some officials outside.
Officials. Awesome. Lucy, can you take over the massage?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go help the officials. Could someone read the next stroke? Thank you. I'll be right out for them.
Stand in the lunge position with your back to the top of the ceiling or at the middle of the thigh. Use your forearm and begin at the distal aspect of the thigh and glide securely. Softly drag your hand back to your starting place. Move lateral, slightly overlapping the nostril, and repeat. Repeat moving lateral until you have covered the entire thigh. Be aware of the ICD may be very tight and this, in which case you can cover the area with broad hands. Repeat deeper.
Awesome. So I'll start and then Lucy will take over. So we're basically getting deeper now with our forearms. And just like we learned on the back, you can learn your forearm by supporting with your hand and always have two hands on the clients. And so we can start sinking in deeper. And as we get deeper, we want to check in with the client on pressure. Now, because we're just starting out and also because the client is wearing underwear, we only drape down to here. But if we were to drape all the way up to here, this stroke you would want to take to the origins of the hamstrings, which is the ischial tuberosity. Because we can't go that far under the drapes, we can also use one hand on that origin when also working these muscles. And we're being careful with the IT band. Lucy's super strong. So, you know, she's going to show you how you can get nice and deep with the stroke. Yep.
So, yeah, I was thinking that when I was watching the videos too, because I didn't see it like you just did now, but it's okay to put your body above the draping.
Yep.
Obviously just not going underneath the draping.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could even have one on the IT band and then go down with my other.
So each time you go touching on top, would you ask permission?
Just ahead of time so that we know if it's okay to work with the glutes and so forth. But if we have that permission, then not every single time. Yeah. All right, Lucy, you good? Tagging in. I will make this as short as possible.
So we're going to continue for the same.
Yeah, show them this one a little bit and then have them read one at a time, please. Thank you.
So when we are working on the thighs, and here some clients they got very tight on their IT bands, and on the IT band we need to work deep tissue on that area. I always like I warm up my both forearms to work on the thighs for client. Hi Taylor, this is Lucy. Before I engage to my clients, I need to do some effleurage again one more time for feel how is the muscle. It does warm up. Okay, we need to warm up more before we work on deep tissue. Yeah, so this muscle table a little bit harder for me. Okay, so now I'm using my body mechanic. I stay on this side, my body is parallel with knees of the client. On these areas, when I work, I start on my forearms on the back first, and then I use my hands, another hand to support on the medial side. Okay, and then I lay my client and going down and laying. Hi Taylor, how is the pressure on that area for you?
It's good.
Okay. So when we work, we use the forearm, we don't use the elbow here because this area is very sensitive. If we use the elbow, we can hit to the sensitive muscle on the top of the IT band. So we just use our body mechanic and we going up and down, up and down, and continue one more time. Pulling down and stop on the foot. Yeah. On the middle of the thighs, we can do the irons sliding as well. And here it's very difficult to just the forearm if we work on this side. So that's why we always use and pulling up like that. But another technique, we go like, if we go like that, pay attention, sometimes it's very sliding. It's up to the area, sensitive area. So that's why I always use like the pulling up from the knees up. Yeah. And so next, someone can read the next for me, please.
Thumb circles on popliteal area. Right and left thumb take turns making overlapping circles. The right thumb circling in clockwise direction and the left thumb circling in counterclockwise direction. This is brief, gentle effleurage stroke to include the popliteal area.
So this circle on the thumb slide around this popliteus is, this area is very sensitive because if you go deep, it will hurting to the front of the knee. That's why we just go slider. The pressure level is about like from 2 up to 3. That is enough for this area. If you go more deeper, client feels very nice, but after that, when they turn over, they got rest on the knees here, and then it feels like hitting up on that area. Maybe like it can be swelling. So that's why we need to pay attention when we work on this area. So we use the terms like circle. So sometimes we can do like that. We have a lot of technique for the circle by the thumbs around the popliteus muscle here. Just have for the muscle relax and release the tensions. It's when getting tender. And we can do on both, thumbs like that. Sometimes we can go over with our hands over a little bit to lift up, make sure it's not like giving the pressure to the knee. So that's why we need to lift it up a little bit and continue. So someone can read the next one, please.
Warming friction on lower leg. Hand in V shape with the V's quickly and alternatively opening and closing over the belly of the lower leg muscles until tissue is warm. You can also use flat hands briskly rubbing distally and proximally. One hand on the medial aspect of the lower leg and the other hand on the lateral aspect of the lower leg to warm the lower leg.
Yeah, the V shape is always like that. So when we touch on the lower leg, we start from the ankle, we go up, up, up.
Lucy, so there's a cross fiber friction. There's like 3 different types of friction.
Yeah.
Can you show us those?
Okay, we have ones on that, another ones like the cross fiber frictions, recrossings, like that. So just sliding, we use it's like that. Sometimes we use like that. It's like we do.
Sure, I don't know.
Wonderful.
As long as the computer's recording, we're fine.
So
Look at our next dress.
sometimes if we don't have enough time, like when client they have only 60 minutes for the massage, if we need to warm up faster for the muscle, we can increase the distance. Yeah, it's like that, just like that, and then things with your shoulder. Yeah. Be careful, like when you do, you need to move your body, because if you don't move your body, just do like that. After that, your shoulder is getting like stuck and you feel very tired on this area. That's why we need to move. Yeah. And we sliding. And yeah. On this technique, we can use our forearm here. The forearm is very interesting. I will ask Taylor to see like which technique Taylor feels like nicely. So Taylor, I will use my forearm now. So that's one for support our hands will not work hard. So that's why we use the forearm. How do you feel with the forearm like that, Taylor?
Feels good. It feels like you're covering a wider area. It's so fluid.
Yeah.
The warmth is distributed.
Yeah.
Well, you can also pull up on the muscle on the other side.
Yeah.
quite a bit.
So when I use my forearms, I use another hand to support when I pulling up, and then that is pulling up. Yeah. So that is help a lot for our body when we work on deep tissue massage. So this is my hands. Yeah. Like Taylor said, like with the forearm, the technique is like more wider, and with the hands, it's a little, yeah.
What if your hands are bigger than their leg? Do you still use your forearms?
Yeah, I use my forearm.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is depend on my clients if they need deep tissue massage.
So
But-
the forearms just for deep tissue?
It's not really for just for deep tissue, but it's like if we feel like we need to use the forearm to support our hands for hands won't work harder. So we use forearm mostly with the hands for in the morning when we wake up, we can close our finger because if you use always your hands to work on deep tissue massage in the morning when you wake up, it's very difficult to close your finger because your muscles on your palms here is tighter. Your carpal tunnel is very tighter and short. And then when you close, you feel it's hurting on the fingers here, finger joints. That's why I use my forearm to support my hands. Yeah.
You want me to read the next one?
Yes, please.
Put your side lower leg with hands in seat position. Move to side of table and stand in straddle position. Position hands in seat position. Begin at ankle with small strokes. As you move up the leg, change your hand position to accommodate leg size. Pay attention to the sides, the Achilles tendon in the middle path.
Okay. So like the V shape, we work on the calf. And then we have another fetishes. We use the C shape to work on the fetishes. You can feel like when you open your hand slider and when you sliding, you feel the strong from on your hands when you work, giving the massage, have the muscle melts faster. And then we can, so when you do on this side, you sliding, go this side. And when you start from this side, sliding on this side. Okay, so now we go. So why I don't start from this side with my right hand when I work on the left leg? Because if I start on the middle side with my right hand here, it's very difficult like that. So that's when I work, it will close my shoulder. It's not nice for the positions. That's why we need to do and we open with more strong. And go every technique we should go down over on the foot because the foot, if we don't touch on there, they laying down long time, it's make the blood flow is stuck on this area. That's why we need to work a little bit for helping is warm it up. Someone can read another next step, yeah?
Play and pulling massage lower leg. Play, taking lower leg between both hands, blow muscle around the bone or against the bone while moving hands along. Treat soft tissue as a lump or clay, wedging the tissue, exploring all possible directions or movement. Pulling, grasp the tissue with both hands, lift it up and away from the bone. When spreading it out laterally. Repeat the movement until the tissue feels warm and elastic. With the heels of hands facing each other, grasp the tissue between fingers and palm and slowly squeeze muscle out of the hand by moving heels of hands slowly towards the fingers. Avoid pinching.
Okay. This technique is called play and falling. Play place. It's like that.
Is that a technical term?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the one where you go up and kind of divide the muscle? Like you go up medially and then pull it apart?
Yeah, so after this, I will show you when we work like that. And then the leg is on our shoulder. And then we do like that. Device on both sides. Sometimes we can holding our hands. But that is, okay, last please. Thank you. But that is like the same technique, but we work on the difference on the cap. But this one, so now with those, we can. And then device on both sides. You can feel like I lift up the muscle. So when we lift up the muscles, we pulling the muscle up. Someone can reach the top of cap here.
Support cow, stand in straddle position at the side of the table. Lightly tilt calves by a rhythmically striking moving hands 3 to 4 inches apart with loose twists and soft fingers. Hands move alternately as one hand strikes, the other loosens the other position. Begin distal to posterior fascia. Second, just fleshy part of the calves, avoiding the distal bony areas. Work down on one side and up the other, covering the top. Add a cross down the middle 18 minutes.
So on the top of calf, it's just like you learn for the foot massage, you know how to tap on the toes. So now we tap on the calves here. We don't tap on here. We avoid this area. We start from here on the medial side. It looks like we are moving some vibrations on the calf to feel like how it's movement. But we can do like slightly, don't work like harder like that. It will make the knees movement. And then after that, it's hurting to the nervous system. That's why we just do lightly. And the next one, please.
Rub heels, still facing client's feet in a lunge position. Interlace fingers and wrap around the heel. Close hands together and rub in a cranial caudal direction with your inner pad.
I need to write that on the face. Interlace. Can you make a pause? I will ask Zefire. Sorry, guys. I need to ask Zefire. Here. So, sorry, Taylor. Thank you for your patience. Okay, rough on the heels. We have this hand sliding down, and we have two fingers walk around the heels here. Our body is parallel with the heel is better. The positions on this area. And then the neck technique. Who can read the neck technique, please?
Circles on heels, we're doing that right now.
Okay, on this area. So we use the thumbs. We're holding another hands. We're holding around the tendons, and we're giving some circle on the heels. This technique on the reflexology does have a lot for digestion system. So
This one says to use knuckle to massage heel.
yeah, so we can use the knuckle. But like, as I'm working a lot, so I avoid to use my knuckle, because if someone use a lot of the knuckle, the dish between the joints is here is come out, and the superficial build up. So that's why someone they have the knuckles like a big superficial around that area, and there are some the dead skin. You can pay attention, like someone who have like some dead skin there. That's because they always use their knuckles like that and hitting. So that's why I only use my thumbs. That is help a lot and support my hands as well.
How would you use your elbow?
My elbow.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we use a lot with our elbow, it's very nice as well, but we cannot feel like, we don't feel how the muscle is stuck on that area or it's tighter, because the elbow is can, for me, it can only feel when I work on the hips, on the glutes muscle. But for the heels, when I work, I don't feel anything. So that's why I suggest like we use the thumbs. When we work on that, we can feel the tighter muscles around the heels, because people, they walk a lot. That's why they have some tender points on that area. And we can do like pulling up a little bit or some circulations for helping blood circulations as well. If we use the elbow, it's just like for like touching, and then I just feels like, I don't know, how can I help my client? And another thing, if we give a lot of pressure on the heels, it's make the calf is getting a shock. After that, client, when they stand up and walk, they feel hurting on the heels, because the muscle on the calf is getting shorter. It's pulling up on the muscle around the tendon and the heels. So that's why we walk and we feel hurting on the heels. I have a lot of my clients, they come to the clinic and they complain about like they have very high tensions on their heel and it's hurting them when they walk. So I check the muscle on the calf. I feel it's very tighter and it has a lot of big notch around here. I should explain to my client like, I won't touch a lot on the heels when I have them, but I will work a lot on the calf to help it getting longer and release the tensions. After that, when you walk, you don't feel hurting you anymore. And they agree for that. After 2 sessions, they can walk normal, no more hurting. Yeah. Okay, the next, please.
Frozen F with well. Perform 3 of the open.
Thumb of thumb.
The thumb,
Oh, the thumb
thumb
over
on
thumb.
the foot.
Oh, thumb over thumb on bottom of the foot. The thumb over bottom of foot, just go to the heel, to the ball of the foot, using alternating thumbs, one after the other. The second thumb sinks in as the first thumb lifts off.
As thumbs on the thumbs, we do some sliding on the foot like that. Figure out the tender points here. And going to each toes. That is a nice technique for client. They can feel like, and that is very easy for them to falling to sleep very fast. Yeah.
Started with this one.
They'll put everyone to sleep who's watching too.
Pardon?
Can you show how you would use our fists? Our fists, how would we use them on the feet?
On with this one, just like that. Sliding hands, follow hands. Yeah, we don't. The water flowing. Okay, the last one, please.
Closing effleurage with rock. Perform 3 of the opening effleurages. You may softly rock the leg on the return stroke.
Okay, so effleurage. Sorry, I have to do something.
And so on the closing one, would you go deeper to softer?
I just go medium. I'm not going like softer because softer just for from beginnings. I start to go from medium, and then when I pulling down the leg, I rock like that. But the blood flow is go through, and client can feel like the leg is getting longer.
So you're doing some traction too.
Yeah. One more time. And I always do like 3 times, and the last times I will dropping my clients like holding like that. Thank you so much. Someone want to see the last technique?
That last stroke was pretty advanced for the undraping. Lucy is an expert. I'm going to show you the slow way.
Thank you.
So let's say we're going to redrape or undrape. So what Lucy did is great, but we're not going to try to massage at the same time your first time. So let's say your client is still draped. You're going to first come down to the knee. So you undrape the side, keep it low to the table, come down to the knee, then lift a little bit from the inside and down low. We're going to pull the sheet down, keep it close to the body, and then sheet stays at the body, and then we go down. So important things are that the first thing you do is bring it down to the knee. And then when you come get the sheet to bring down further, we're bringing it way down here. We're not pulling from vulnerable areas. And then we keep it down low and we keep it recovered. Lucy's was absolutely correct, but that takes practice. And we'll start one thing at a time. Yeah. And then you'll be fancy. like Lucy, when you're in your practice.
Thank you, Zefire.
Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah, it was
Thank you,
awesome.
thank you, everyone.
Anything else? We stop recording to the cloud.
Yeah.
So I apologize for